like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Alex Jones is absolutely insane, so therefore you can imagine how freaking excited I was when I learned that an Alex Jones endorsed video game was coming out. The internet is a weird place sometimes, often providing means for the rise of peculiar characters, and none are more peculiar than Alex Jones. Some have always expressed admiration for Alex due to his entertaining and confrontational style, anti-establishment stance, promotion of conspiracy theories, alignment with certain political ideologies, and advocacy for free speech. However, others criticise him for spreading misinformation, using divisive rhetoric, and endorsing violence. No matter your opinions on this man though, Alex Jones has reached meme status, in part due to the eccentric and sensational nature of his public persona, as well as some zany moments from his many balmy media appearances. Fortunately, as of today, some memes do come true, and all of this man's most ridiculous stances and statements have now been encapsulated in video game form. So join me as I experience the exciting opportunity to step into the shoes of Alex Jones and view the world through his eyes in video game form. I can't believe I'm actually about to say this, but hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. This is Alex Jones New World Order Wars. Yeah, let's just get stuck right in.
Little Dr. Fugger has hatched a plan to turn everyone into a gay frog by injecting you with an mRNA LGBTQ tadpole technology vaccine that depletes your testosterone and turns you into a rainbow amphibian. Ready? Go!
Yep, while this game's existence may seem like an April Fool's Day joke, we are obviously not close to April, and I can promise you this title is very much the real deal, no matter how utterly insane this title looks. While seeming like the plot device in an episode of South Park, Alex Jones NWO Wars is not only a full game, but a full game endorsed and promoted by the man himself. This satirical side-scrolling 2D video game with a retro-themed aesthetic was developed by SVGS, who, according to the game's website, is the leading free speech-inspired video game development studio ready to create monumental games for influential figures who tackle serious worldly issues. They claim to battle against the fear of cancel culture, putting privacy first and refusing to deplatform legal content. For $17.76, the website promises players that they will have the opportunity to save the world from the evil globalist plot to turn everyone into bug-eating, pod-dwelling libtards. The price of a game is important to Alex in itself. After all, you know what he says. The answer to 1984 is 1776. It also promises that while playing as Alex, you get to join up with allies for the greater good, as every day the deep state sues, lies, defames and kills law-abiding patriots who threaten their power. In addition to this, Alex's game says you get to defeat big tech cucks and other anti-American communist bosses throughout this adrenaline-inducing adventure. Playing as Alex for the first time in history, you get to experience the world through the InfoWars leader's eyes, getting to physically see the war he fights. The final call to action warns us that they are turning the freaking frogs gay, and only Alex Jones can stop this madness and restore balance in the brain force. If that's not a sales pitch, I don't know what is. After witnessing and hearing Alex read the first text scroll, which I showed you earlier, we are thrust straight into the action of the game that advertises itself as the most cancelled game ever. Unsurprisingly, armed with a gun, you play as the Second Amendment appreciating Alex, gunning down hordes of mad doctors who are forcefully trying to vaccinate the poor little man. The game seems fully self-aware in its absurdity, as it's not long until you are facing off against gay frogs too. For those watching today who do not live terminally online, the statement "they're turning the frickin' frogs gay" is a reference to a conspiracy theory popularised by Alex. He claimed that certain chemicals, such as atrazine, were turning frogs, and by extension, potentially humans, gay. A claim that obviously lacks scientific credibility, although he did use a now debunked research paper to support his dubious stance. Speaking of Alex's crazy quotes, he regularly throws them out throughout the game, particularly when grabbing power-ups, for example.
Get wrecked. They're turning the friggin' frogs gay. Paul McCartney died 50 years ago.
Gameplay wise, this is the simplest of run and guns. However, power-ups are available that temporarily allow Alex to use a flamethrower or more powerful guns, as well as testosterone supplements which give Alex extra lives. One of the greatest features this game offers are the utterly ridiculous bosses, who in most cases are satirized takes on powerful people from real life. Every stage has at least 2 of these bosses, with the first boss fight taking place against a character called the Virgin Billionaire, who is very clearly Bill Gates. What makes these fights all the more amusing is that they all appear to be voiced by Alex doing impressions of these various perceived enemies of humanity. The Virgin Billionaire throws money at you while he persistently shouts this.
I'm going to lower the world's population.
Just as one might expect in a vaccine-themed laboratory stage, the level closes with a fight against Dr. Fuka. Unsurprisingly, this character is based on Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in the United States. Conspiracy theories emerged around him due to factors such as the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, the spread of misinformation on social media, political polarization, general distrust in institutions, and selective information processing. So, a perfect villain to place in this game. But what happens next after he is vanquished? Let's find out.
The big tech crybaby tyrants have banned us all, locked us in our virtual cages. They're not human, and they're wiping us off the face of the earth with a smile on their satanic faces. But I can stop it. I am prepared to single-handedly defeat Big Tech Lizard Nerd and free the patriotic Americans from the mass censorship hell.
After that exhilarating introduction, we are off to San Francisco, which is depicted as a dystopian shithole full of drug addicts and homeless people. Their vomit provides some extra projectiles to avoid on top of the rainbows that are already bathed out by the gay frogs in the region. It's only a matter of time before we meet our first assist character in the game. Alex Jones gets to ride the Joe Centaur experience, a reference to the Joe Centaur Rogan meme video that went viral last year. One thing is for sure, you won't see limited run games selling this title. As the stage progresses and Jones continues to shout out phrases such as global warming is a hoax, you eventually find your way sifting through huge piles of excrement, approaching the big tech companies. Once here, we find the likes of the definitely not Google building and the definitely not Meta Facebook building, until finally you take on the big tech lizard himself, definitely not Mark Zuckerberg. You encounter this foe in Big Tech Jail, at a building where those who have been banned from social media are being held in cages. In this battle, you must avoid getting smashed by his Thought Police hammer, as he insists AI is God, you must join the Matrix to put your goggles on, and you will be silenced. Thankfully, Alex promises to free the Patriots and defeat the globalist tech geeks. After defeating this monster, the Patriots are saved and begin cheering on their hero, but things only just get more extraordinary next. Listen to this.
Jeffrey Epstein may be dead, but his island is still ripe and full of pedophiles and satanic child sacrifice. Babies are being kidnapped and are being turned into a stew for the globalist elites to eat so they can live forever. The crooked witch of the West Wing is leading the charge, and I am going to get between her and those poor babies. They will not be turned into stew, not on my watch.
Yes, that's right, this is a video game where you get to visit Epstein Island. Prince Andrew is unfortunately nowhere in sight, as one imagines he is likely in Woking at Pizza Express. But that doesn't mean we do not get to meet other celebrities, as Alex shouts out the moon landing was a hoax and the lottery is rigged. After facing off against multiple Castlevania skeletons, and of course gay frogs, you reach the mid-boss of this stage. I have to say, I barely laughed at this scene, as to see a life bar come up as the rapist, then see Bill Clinton playing the saxophone straight after, caught me completely off guard with its level of audacity. I had to look this one up as it wasn't a reference I was familiar with, but it seems that Bill Clinton raping people isn't an accusation that appears to have originated from various conspiracy websites, political opponents and fringe media outlets, rather than from credible sources.
You always want to be underestimated by your adversaries.
But what else can you expect when playing a game through the eyes of Alex Jones? It's bat crazy nonsense like this which makes the game so unique. Digging a little deeper, it appears that this entire stage is based around the QAnon conspiracy theory that gained traction on forums like 4chan. Key elements of the QAnon theory include the belief in a global cabal of pedophiles and Satan worshippers, with Trump portrayed as a saviour figure fighting against this secret network. In fact, it becomes clear this is exactly what the stage is referencing, as after defeating Bill, Trump flies in dressed as a superhero, proclaiming he is here to save the poor innocent babies. Trump promises to help Alex defeat the globalists very bigly, and refers to Alex Jones as a tremendous warrior. Finally, at the end of the section, players take on the Crooked Witch of the West Wing, who, as you likely guessed already, is Hillary Clinton. Defeating her frees the babies from the cages, freeing them from the hell that is Epstein Island. This brings us on to the next stage, which is stage 4 and possibly my favourite of the lot.
Castro Jr. is on the loose, trying to force experimental shots while looking like a fruitcake in the process. The Canadian truckers are protesting the oppressive Canadian government. All of their funds have been frozen by the New World Order banks until the citizens relent. Castro Jr. must be overthrown.
You have likely noticed that this stage is a reference to the Canada convoy protest, which was against Canada's overreaching vaccine mandates and restrictions which were much higher than those found in the United States and the majority of European democracies. To give the devil his due, or in this case Alex, Canada is seen by many to increasingly be becoming a country whereby the government is perceived to excessively regulate and intervene in citizens' lives, often with the intention of promoting safety or well-being. Whether Canada is considered a nanny state depends on one's perspective, but I certainly understand the argument. But what is certainly a meritless conspiracy theory is the hilarious premise that Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. Yes, that's right. Amusingly, a rumour has gone around that he is the former Cuban dictator's secret love child, making Castro Jr. the perfect boss to take out in Alex Jones' perception of Canada. Since 2016, rumours have circulated on the internet alleging an affair between Trudeau's mother and the leader of the Cuban Revolution. This conspiracy theory gained traction particularly among Donald Trump supporters, who propagated speculations on various online forums. According to the unfounded claims, Margaret Trudeau and Fidel Castro purportedly met in secret, leading to speculation that Justin is their love child. To add fuel to this hilarious fire, in 2016 Justin Trudeau acknowledged his father Pierre Trudeau's pride in his friendship with Fidel Castro, expressing it as a great honour to have met the deranged communist dictator and his family in person. One thing is for sure though, there is a resemblance between the two leaders who love to over-regulate their citizens. As for the stage itself that takes place on the road, Tucker Carlson joins Alex to fight against fake news, which leads to an additional boss fight against fake news clowns from CNN who are trying to defame the truckers and paint them as the villains in this narrative. With the Aladdin cosplayer defeated and Canada freed, it's on to the final stage.
This is it, folks. The New World Order headquarters, where every slimy, dirty, traitorous, no-good, lying scumbag Hitlers do their planning. Davos, Switzerland. They're scheduled to drop a gay frog nuke that will turn the entire world into soft, mushy pink amphibians, and their rule will be eternal. They want us to eat the bugs. They want us to live in a pod. They want us to be gay. And I say no! Never will I bow to Satan. This is a war on our souls, a war on God.
This is it, the final stretch of the game. However, if you're an innocent normie watching, you're probably wondering what the hell you just heard. The end of this game is based around the Davos conspiracy, with Davos typically referring to the Swiss town that hosts the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. Now, there are a lot of very valid reasons for people to absolutely despise this lot. After all, the annual meeting in Davos is often criticised for being exclusive and attended primarily by the global elite, political leaders, business executives and celebrities. Critics rightly argue that decisions affecting the global population should not be made by a select few, especially people as rich and privileged as this. Some critics argue that the WEF lacks accountability and transparency in its decision-making processes. They claim that decisions made at Davos can have significant global implications, but there is limited democratic input or oversight. Building on this, the WEF's close ties with business interests may lead to policies that prioritise corporate concerns over public interests. While all of these are very valid causes of concern, viewing the problem through the lens of Alex Jones makes this dubious group appear even more unhinged, with the game depicting George Soros as a Nazi dragon, particularly cutting representation considering that Soros is a Holocaust survivor. Once again, though, it's easy to see why so many people don't like this billionaire. After all, he uses his money, power and influence to impact on elections around the world by funding left-leaning candidates, regularly meddling in foreign affairs and in the process undermining sovereign democracies. In fact, he has directly impacted on my life before, single-handedly through his greed causing economic problems in my country of the United Kingdom. In 1992, he famously bet against the British pound, contributing to its devaluation. His penchant for hedge funding contributes to market volatility and can have negative impacts on economies. Like the World Economic Forum, there are a lot of very legitimate reasons to be angry with this man, but being a Nazi isn't one of them. At the end of a Davos stage, Alex saves the world and defeats a giant puppet octopus, then eventually the all-powerful globalists. This has to be perhaps the craziest game I've ever played, so what can we make of all of this? Well, Alex Jones is a controversial media personality, conspiracy theorist, and radio show host known for his inflammatory rhetoric and promotion of various conspiracy theories. Some of his critics argue that he engages in fear-mongering and uses sensationalism to attract attention and followers, potentially for financial gain. But on the other hand, some of his supporters view him as a truth-teller, challenging mainstream narratives. As demonstrated throughout this video, awareness should be spread about the likes of powerful people like Soros and the World Economic Forum, and the powers they wield over our lives. But sadly, the lies and often groundless conspiracy theories that Jones promotes destroys his messages completely. Jones has faced legal challenges including defamation lawsuits. In some cases, his legal defense has argued that his on-air persona is an act, which has led to questions about the sincerity of his statements and the extent to which he genuinely believes the conspiracy theories he promotes. Fortunately, NWO Wars seems to be completely satirical, so regardless of if you believe anything this man says, a fun and amusing gameplay experience exists that can either be laughed with or laughed at. One thing is clear though, Jones often talks about globalism and a perceived elite class that wields significant influence over international affairs. While his perspectives on these topics can be extreme and conspiratorial, discussions about the influence of certain powerful individuals, groups, or global institutions on geopolitics and economic events genuinely need to be more heavily scrutinised. So while no one is trying to turn the frickin' frogs gay, there are a lot of very powerful people out there which this game pokes fun at. As one would expect, reception for this utter madness has been completely mixed. It's leaving gamers often scratching their heads as to whether this is merely a parody game or instead terrifyingly stupid propaganda. Bearing in mind I've shown you most of which this has to offer, comment below what you think of this insanity. Cheerio.
They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
Wow, these globalists are taking over, man. This game is truly fascinating, man. Check out those gay frogs.
Woo! Machine gun. They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.